Hey everyone, and welcome to our early comics previews video. My name is Matt. Andy's on vacation this week, so it is just me for today, but we still wanted to bring you a video talking about some of this week's biggest and best books because there are a lot of them. Now, normally we do two different shows, a short one and a long one. Since it's just me this time, we're going to do just one show, but this is going to be kind of a hybrid. I've got about 10 books that I really want to talk to you in depth about, and then I've got about 10 or 12 more that we're going to do a little bit of a speed round through just to show you some of the awesome stuff because those books still deserve to be talked about because they are that great. Also, a reminder to check out, over here, infinityflux.net, where you can order these books right now. So anything that you see that you like, you can go to infinityflux.net. All of the books are there right now, and you can order them as we go along. So we're going to start with the biggest one for this week, and this is NYX #1. This is the next of our From the Ashes era of X-Men books. This one is written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, and the art is by Francesco Mortorino, excuse me. And this issue is mostly centered around Kamala Khan. After the fall of Krakoa, she is living with her parents again, and she has enrolled in some classes at ESU. And it is at ESU where she meets Sophie Cuckoo, and they quickly form a friendship, although it's a little bit of a strange one because Sophie is a little bit more outgoing than Kamala is. We also see a little bit of Prodigy, as he is one of the teachers in one of Kamala's classes. We also see a little bit of Anoli here. He is a bartender at a club they go to one night, but they also quickly get kicked out of that club because of a little bit of a skirmish they get in, even though it's not their fault. Now, because of that skirmish, Kamala learns of this group called the Truth Seekers who commit crimes and blame it on mutants. And she actually learns of the very next crime they are going to commit. So she goes out to stop it, right? She wants to, prevent them from doing any more of that stuff. And it is there that she runs into Laura Kinney, Wolverine. Now, I don't want to spoil anything else from there. There's a little bit more that happens after that, but that definitely branches into spoiler territory. So I'm going to stop there. But I'll say that I definitely liked this issue quite a bit. I think they are 3 for 3 on these From the Ashes books so far. I really like the artwork. The action is really fun. The way that Kamala and Sophie are written and their friendship is really fun because they're similar, but they're also different. And that's a lot of fun. And I think we are going to get into a really intriguing story with the way that this ended. So yeah, I highly recommend NYX #1 if you are, trying to figure out which of these new X-Men books to pick up. This is definitely a good one. So we have our A cover right here. We got some cool variants. We have an Art Germ variant. We have a Villalobos variant. We have an Antonio variant. This is our Todnock Window Shades variant. And then we have this 1 in 25 Yagawa variant that we're selling for $19.99. And then this 1 in 50 Villalobos variant that we are selling for $45. So very cool. Another X-Men book. They are off to a great start with all of these. And next up, we have a really exciting one that I have been waiting for quite a while. And it is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. This is the long-awaited new era of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, though not a reboot. This still continues the continuity that the last 150 issues of the IDW series has established. And this just keeps going, so you don't have to worry about, learning everything over again. This just continues that great story. Now, this is written by Jason Aaron. And each of these first 4 issues is going to be drawn by a different artist and focus on a different turtle. This issue in particular is drawn by Joelle Jones, and it focuses on Raphael. Now, when we start the book, we see that Raphael is in prison, and we don't really know why, although a little bit later in the book, we learn a little bit as to why he's there, although I think there's still a little bit more story to be told with all that we're going to get later. The guards there treat him terribly. It looks like the inmates there might jump him at any minute. He is basically completely alone, but he likes it that way. And I don't really want to spoil anything that happens to him while he's in prison. But I will say that things go from bad to worse with him when these three new inmates arrive at the prison. Something happens that makes him realize that even though he's a bit estranged from his brothers, which happened, near the end of the previous series, he needs to get back to them ASAP because something is about to go down. This issue was really, really good, though. I really like this. The artwork is fantastic. Joel Jones just knocks it out of the park. There's some good action. We get the start of a very intriguing story here, and I just cannot wait to see, how they tie in the other three turtles into kind of what is established here. And then once they all do, starting with issue 5, and they're all back together, and we get our first story arc. Where is that all going to go? Just a fantastic start to a new series of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So we have our A cover right here, and we got a bunch of variants for this. We have a Joel Jones variant. I think that's the one that I pre-ordered with Raphael. We have a Kevin Eastman variant. This is our Gonzo variant featuring Raphael in his prison clothes. We've got a Randolph variant featuring all 4 turtles, although again, only Raphael is in this one, and each issues 2, 3, and 4 are going to focus on another one of these. I don't remember which one is which, but there is that one. We have a Campbell variant. Here's our blank sketch variant. We have another black and white Joel Jones, just rough in black and white. I guess this could be like the black, white, and red cover, right? That would be pretty cool. This is our Talbot 40th anniversary variant. And then we have a 1 in 25 Earls variant that we're selling for $14.99. There is a 1 in 50 Robertson variant that we're selling for $24.99. And there is a 1 in 75 Bermejo variant that we're selling for $45. And I'm just now looking at that one for the first time. From a glance, that almost looks real, or maybe like, from the movie from the 90s or from 1990. Like, that looks really, really cool. So yeah, very exciting, action-packed start to a new era of Ninja Turtles. Continuing, like I said, continuing the previous run, but also a great jumping on point too. So if you did not read the previous run, because I only read just a few of the previous run, I didn't feel very lost in here at all. So this is a great jumping on point. If you want to read some Ninja Turtles comics, definitely pick this one up. And next we have a new one from Mr. James Tynion. This is The Nice House by the Sea #1. And this can more or less be considered a sequel, I guess, to The Nice House on the Lake. Maybe not so much a sequel as it is a follow-up or a continuation, not of those characters, but of the idea and the situation that it put out there. So this one is written by James Tynion, and the artwork is by Alvaro Martinez Bueno. And if you've read The Nice House on the Lake, then you kind of know the drill with this. If you haven't read Nice House on the Lake, long story short is that the world has ended, essentially, and there is a select group of people who have been chosen by this godlike being. I don't know if they're aliens or whatever, but they have been chosen by this being to live for essentially eternity in this immaculate house. Now, this book follows a different godlike being and a whole different group of people than the first series did. And the difference here, the difference between this book and the first one is that this one starts 2 years after the end of the world. So everybody in the house, they already know the truth about everything, mostly. Nothing really surprises them anymore. They know what the deal is, basically, and they're just living their lives in this nice house on the sea. This issue mostly just introduces us to the characters, shows us their personalities, and how they get along with each other, or maybe how they don't get along with each other. Things do get a little bit weird near the end, and I will say there is a connection to The Nice House on the Lake, but obviously I will not spoil that for you. But if you enjoyed the first series, you're definitely going to like this. It's more of the same, but also different. I don't mean that like in a bad way at all. Like I said, if you've read the first series, you know exactly what the situation is, what the deal is. But the situation is a little bit different because we are further into whatever it was that ended the world. And, these people know about it. And we have characters in here like there's an actor, there's a mathematician, a doctor, a senator, I think, and a few others. I should have written it down. but just another group of people that kind of represent different facets of humanity. And yeah, so if you like the first issue, definitely check this out. Or if you like the first series, definitely check this one out because I think it's pretty good. And with the way that it ended, I'm very interested to see what that's all about because I'm not really, I don't really know what's going on yet. But we have our A cover right here. We've got a couple variants. We have the Nick Robles variant. That, I believe, is your main character. Well, kind of the character that the first issues focus on, named Oliver. And then we have this really cool like postcard type cover by Sherman. Wish you were here. Wish you weren't here, actually, is what it says, because yeah, that's pretty gruesome looking. And then we have a 1 in 25 Danny variant that we're selling for $34.99. I like the first series quite well, and I was really excited for this to come out because, yeah, I mean, more tiny in with nice houses is always a fun time. So next up, we have a new one from Matt Cave. This is Flash Gordon #1. This follows on the heels of the Free Comic Book Day book. This one is written by Jeremy Adams and the art is by Will Conrad. And it's like Andy and I said before, we are living in a golden age of cool stuff from the 70s and 80s. We got Flash Gordon, Johnny Quest, Popeye, Space Ghost. Like, it's so cool, all the stuff that's out right now. So in this first issue, like I said, it takes place after the Free Comic Book Day book. And in fact, it shows a couple of things that happened in the Free Comic Book Day book. It shows those as flashbacks. So definitely kind of a next run there. Flash has been taken captive and has been locked in a dungeon. I'm not really sure how long he's been there, but he's got long hair and a beard, so it's probably been a while. And he's being held on this place called Planet Death. I'm not sure if that's a whole planet or maybe like an asteroid or something like that. But he doesn't know how long he's been there, and he's a little bit unsure what has happened to Earth and to Dale Arden, his lady love. He's eventually joined by another prisoner who seems to have knowledge of Dale. He knows where she is and what she's doing. And then the rest of the issue after that just becomes this action-packed escape attempt so that he can get back to Dale and find out what's going on. We do at the end get a little bit of a glimpse at Dale's current status quo. And Flash might be surprised by what he finds whenever he does reach her, because I was certainly surprised. And this also contains a preview for the upcoming Defenders of the Earth #1. Andy and I talked about that a couple weeks back on Comics from the Future. Although that book is separate from this. It's not in the same continuity. That book follows the cartoons in the comic from the 80s, whereas this one is its own thing. But very cool. Artwork is great. Good action. You know, it's always fun to read a jailbreak story, right? And that's exactly what we get in here. So a nice start to Flash Gordon. So we have our A cover right here. We have this really nice Riley Brown variant. I like that one a lot. We have our blank sketch variant. We have a 1 in 10 Cheeto variant that we're selling for $7.99. And then we have a 1 in 20 Panosian variant that we're selling for $34.99. And if you're my age, you definitely recognize everybody there. Nice classic Flash Gordon stuff. And then next we have one that I'm really excited about because this is my favorite, or my second favorite type of comics to read. And that is EC's Epitaphs from the Abyss #1. So this is actually published by Oni, but they are bringing back kind of the EC brand. And, you know, for those who don't know, EC Comics back in the 50s had some of the best horror books, sci-fi books, fantasy books, and the horror books from the 50s still hold up today. Like, there's still some really creepy stories out there. And it was a lot of anthology books, just books filled with several short horror stories, and that is exactly what this is. So in this, we get 4 different short horror stories. There's one called Killer Spec, which is written by Jay Holtham, and the art is by Jorge Fornes. And it's about a writer named Kevin. He is trying to write a new script, a new screenplay, but he is having severe writer's block. His roommate, however, is not a writer, but he still manages to write a really good script. He said, I just wanted to try it out. Just, you know, you made it seem like fun, and I just want to give it a shot too. And he writes this really great script, and let's just say that Kevin is not happy about it. I'll leave it at that. There's a story called Senator, written by Chris Condon, and the art is by Peter Krause. And there's this reporter who finds it very strange that a senator who now has views that are in stark contrast to the platform that she ran on. So she actually goes to Washington, D.C. to confront the senator about how her position has changed so drastically. And she does learn why, but it is much more sinister than she could have realized. So that was really cool. There's a story called Family Values, written by Stephanie Phillips, and the art is by Phil Hester. This was my favorite one. This is about a group of armed men who tie up a family in their basement. It's a husband and a wife and a son and a daughter. They tie up the son, daughter, and the wife in the basement, and they force the father of the family to kill one of them, or else they all die. And he has like a certain amount of time to do it. And maybe the only thing worse than him having to do that is why he's having to do it and what it's all about. So that was really cool. And then there is another story called Us versus Us, written by Brian Azzarello, and the artist by Vlad Legastev. And it's the story from the cover here. So the cover is by Lee Bermejo, and this is the last story, is what you see right here. And it's about a man and a woman on the run from a couple of monsters who want to kill them. Again, as you can see right here. But what made the monsters the way they are, you might be surprised to find out. So yeah, just a really cool, I believe this is going to be a 5-issue miniseries, each issue featuring 3 or 4 different anthology stories. Just quick little one and dones of horror stories that are just super duper creepy, and I liked it a lot. So we have our A cover right here by Lee Bermejo. We also have a Lee Bermejo foil variant, gold foil variant. There is also a Sorrentino variant and a silver foil Sorrentino variant. We've got a blank sketch variant right there. We have a 1 in 10 Stevens variant that we're selling for $7.99. We have a 1 in 20 Sorrentino variant that we're selling for $14.99. So it looks like it's marked on, but it's supposed to look like that. Kind of supposed to look like, the old school covers from back in the day. And we have a 1 in 50 Hughes Archive variant that we're selling for $34.99. And yeah, it actually kind of lists the stories right here in the creative team. So yeah, that is really cool. Yeah, this is really, really great. I love anthology horror books. They are some of my favorite books to read after superhero books, right? Because I like my superheroes too, but horror books are great. Now, we are going to stay with the horror anthology theme for just a minute, because we are going to talk about this next book from Boom called Hello Darkness. Now, this also is a horror anthology book. This features 3 different stories. This only just came in today. Our shipment of Boom books only came in today, so I didn't get a chance to read all the way through. I read the first couple of stories. I don't have any notes on those, though, so I don't have the creative teams. One is about these kids in a town who each one, they all start to kill their parents, which is pretty horrific because I'm a parent myself. But the reason why could be even scarier. And then there is another story about this former professional bowler. I guess at some point he had an accident, hurt his hand, and he couldn't bowl anymore. And when somebody else gets picked to join a champion bowling league, let's just say he doesn't take it very well. And the third story is the first part of a new Something is Killing the Children story, which is, that story is going to continue on through the next 6 issues. So if you're a Something is Killing the Children fan, maybe trying to get everything related to that, maybe pick this up because that is a third story in here. But yeah, just another really, really cool horror anthology. And yeah, those other 2 stories are really, really cool. So yeah, this was great. Really, really cool. So yeah, this is our A cover right here. We have a Jenny Frison variant. We have a Peach Momoko black and white variant. And we have a DeCall variant right there. I like that one a lot. And next we're going to talk about, so we're going to shift gears a little bit from horror anthology to silly fun with Spawn Kills Every Spawn #1. This one is super duper fun. This is written by John Layman and the art is by Rob Duenas. And this is kind of a fun meta story about a character named Albert. You can see him right there. He's also known as Lil Spawn. And he, a couple points in the story, he breaks the 4th wall and actually talks to us a little bit. Well, he has a booth at SpawnCon in this story, and he's trying to sell some autographs, but nobody's buying, despite the fact that the tables on either side of him have extremely long lines. There's different spawns on either side of them. Everybody wants their autograph, but poor little Spawn, nobody wants his. So he goes home very mad, and he comes up with the idea that he will become the one and only Spawn, and he is going to accomplish that task by killing every other Spawn. I guess he's going to travel the multiverse, or I don't know if it's a multiverse thing. Maybe they just all live together. I'm not sure. But yeah, he is going to kill every single Spawn. And the first few pages of this actually show what that might look like. It's not part of the story. They even tell you, this didn't actually happen. We just wanted to show you what it was like, what it would be like. So you actually get to sort of see that a little bit. But this is just really fun. It's a very simple book. In a good way. It's funny. The artwork is really good. There's great colors. And there's the cool thing about this is there's lots of little Easter eggs to look through, especially in the pages where he's at SpawnCon. There's a nice 2-page spread, and it's fun to look at everything because there's jam-packed full of stuff to look at, and you get to see all these little Easter eggs and references and that kind of thing. So yeah, just a really fun Spawn book, a little bit different than maybe what the current Spawn books are doing, but it's really cool. So there's our A cover right there. We have this McFarlane variant. That's big little Spawn right there. And then we have a blank sketch variant as well. I'll take a quick break. All right, so next up, we have a brand new book from Magma Comics. This is called Greaser Gemini Blues. This is, I believe, going to be a miniseries, but I'm not really sure how many issues it's going to run. This is written by Derek Robertson, and the art is by Stephen B. Jones. This is actually set in the year 2097. The world, it's not quite post-apocalyptic, but the deserts are scorching hot. The major cities are covered by these climate-controlled domes. So it's kind of sort of post-apocalyptic. And there's also these aliens called the Gemini who came to Earth years ago, and they live on Earth now. And the book is centered around this guy here. His name is Buddy. He is a greaser or mechanic. And he's really good at fixing up things. And he and his grandma operate a roadside diner in the Nevada desert. Well, one day they're visited by this really rowdy biker gang who end up leaving behind some precious cargo that the Gemini are tracking. And it seems that this whole series is going to be about the Gemini doing whatever is necessary to get that cargo back, because now it is in the possession of Buddy and his grandma. And I don't know that they even really know that they have it yet, but the Gemini sure do want it back. And from the solicitations, we know that they will do whatever it takes to get that back. So just a really cool new book from Magma Comics. Magma Comics has been putting out some really cool, interesting, different stuff lately. So this was a lot of fun, and this is the only cover that we have. All right, so next up, we are going to get into some Absolute Power, because that's storyline is going strong in DC, and we're going to start with Absolute Power Origins #1. This is going to be a 3-issue miniseries. This is written by John Ridley, and the art is by Aletha Martinez. Now, this is kind of like an Amanda Waller year one, if you will. This takes place when she is a young mother. At the very beginning of the book, her daughter is found dead in an alley, and her husband leaves because he knows who did it. She says that everybody knows who did it, but the police won't do anything about it. So her husband, Amanda Waller's husband, goes to confront the killer, but they actually end up killing each other. And that's not a spoiler, because that's not what the whole series is about. That happens in the first couple pages. So this sends Amanda Waller on a crusade against vigilantes, which, if I'm being honest, it was a little bit confusing to me, because vigilantes weren't involved in the killing of her daughter or her husband. I think maybe it's something like around the same time that happened is when Batman first arrived on the scene, and she saw news reports about how the police were kind of sort of working with Batman, but they were okay with that vigilante. But when her husband went to take the law into his own hands, the police weren't as accepting of it, I guess. I think it had something to do with that. So she volunteers to work on the campaign of this would-be congressman. She wants to help him get elected because of his very strict anti-vigilante platform. And she works really, really hard for over the next few months to get him elected. We see that she is willing to do anything to get him elected, no matter who it hurts. And that's where we start to see a little bit of that ruthless Amanda Waller come out. And yeah, so again, this is just kind of not really an origin story for her, but just kind of like what sets her on the path of being against vigilantes and against superheroes and that kind of thing. And definitely more to come with the next 2 issues. So if you're trying to get all of the Absolute Power tie-ins, definitely don't miss this one. So this is our A cover right here. And we have this really cool Dave Wilkins variant. And we have this, this is Aletha Martinez, Danny Mickey, and Andrew Dalhouse variant. Failsafe and the Brainiac Queen are not in this, but yeah, just showing she will work with them eventually, I guess is what that is showing there. And then we have a couple other Absolute Power tie-ins. We have Absolute Power Task Force 7 #2. Now, this is going to be a 7-issue series, and each book in this series is done by a different creative team, and it focuses on a different Amazo robot. So this one is written by John Layman, and the art is by Max Rayner. And this is centered around Depth Charge, which is the quote-unquote Aquaman Amazo. And this issue shows us how Depth Charge was able to steal the powers of Aquaman, Tempest, and the Doom Patrol. We saw a little bit of that in Absolute Power #1, but it wasn't really fleshed out. So this shows us that conflict, and then a little bit what happens afterwards. So it mostly takes place after Absolute Power #1. Depth Charge actually takes Aquaman captive and swims down to Atlantis to show the Atlanteans, hey, I just took out your king. This is a warning. Do not mess with everything that's going on the surface world right now. But he encounters a little bit of resistance when Tempest and the Doom Patrol go down there to rescue Aquaman. And I'm not going to say anything else about that. I don't want to spoil this issue. I will say that I thought the first issue was all right, but I like this one a lot better. The artwork is really cool. There's some great action scenes between Tempest and the Doom Patrol and Depth Charge. It's really cool to see the Doom Patrol because we haven't really seen them since the Unstoppable Doom Patrol, and that was so fun. I wanted more, so we get more in this. And yeah, this is really cool. So don't miss that if you're trying to get all those. So that's the A cover right there. And we have some really cool variants. This is by Simone DeMeo. This is a really nice Aquaman one by John Zhang. I like that one a lot. And then this is the Stephen Platt and Dave McCaig mugshot variant for Aquaman. And we have the John Timms connecting cover. There's 12 of these. And they go in like a 4x3 pattern, and that's just another piece of that puzzle. And then we have the really cool, this is the one I pre-ordered, Dan Mora foil variant featuring Depth Charge. Kind of a design variant, if you will. Yeah, that one was absolutely cool. And then we have one more tie-in. This one is Green Arrow #14. And if you read Absolute Power #1, you definitely have questions about Green Arrow and what is going on. And this gives us a little bit. We still don't quite know yet. So this is written by Joshua Williamson, and the art is by Amanke Nwelpen and Sean Isaacs. And at the beginning of this issue, Batman fills in the rest of the Arrow family about what is going on with Green Arrow, you know, what he is doing, what we saw him do in Absolute Power #1. And he tells them all to stay on the island that they're on because they may end up being the last line of defense against Amanda Waller since all the other heroes have lost their powers. But, you know, the Arrow family, they're mostly full of really compulsive characters, and they don't listen to Batman, and they head out because they think that since Amanda Waller is using Amazo robots to steal all the heroes' powers, they feel like they should track down Professor Ivo to figure out the best way to stop them. I won't tell you anything else. I won't spoil anything else, but I will say that it's not going to be as easy as they think to find him and to get him to work with them. But it's a really cool issue. The artwork is really good. There's some really good action. It's really cool to see the entire Arrow family together. So yeah, a really cool tie-in to Absolute Power. And again, especially with what's going on with Oliver Queen, we definitely want to know more. So there is our A cover right there. We got some cool variants on this one. This is John Zhang again. And this is the one I'm super excited about. The Jose Luis Garcia Lopez design variant. You know, the 1982 design variants, I guess. I can't remember what they called it back then, but I can't wait. I love that. That's Green Arrow from my childhood, just like all the rest of these are. All right, so that was we went through actually 11 books with the addition of Hello, darkness. So I've got a bunch more here. Like I said, we're going to do a little bit of a speed round through these because these definitely deserve to be talked about. Definitely want to let you know that these are coming out, but most of these are just continuations of already existing stories. Well, except for the first one, this is a new story, and this is Nemesis Rogues Gallery #1. This is by Mark Miller, and the artist by Valerio Giangiordano. And this takes place after Big Game. So those of you who read Big Game last year, the big Miller world crossover with all the heroes and villains, this takes place after that. Nemesis, well, I guess I'll just spoil that a little bit. Nemesis finds himself in a hospital bed, paralyzed from the neck down. But as always, because he is more or less an evil version of Batman, he already has a plan in place for how to escape from the hospital and escape from the people who have him under lock and key, and a plan for how to restore himself both physically and financially. And this issue in particular is all about the escape plan, how he escapes, and then the rest of the series, which I'm not sure, probably going to be like 5 or 6 issues. The rest of that is presumably going to be how he reasserts himself in the world to the status that he was before. So if you're a Mark Miller fan, if you like Nemesis and the Big Game and all that stuff, definitely don't miss this. That's our A cover right there. We have a J. Lee cover. And then this is our 1 in 10 black and white variant that we're selling for $8. All right, so we talked about the Absolute Power tie-ins, but we still have some Blood Hunt tie-ins. We got 3 of them this week. The first one is Vengeance of the Moon Knight, #7. This doesn't really add a whole lot of new stuff to the main story, but it does show us exactly what Tigra and Hunter's Moon did in Blood Hunt #4. If you saw, we saw a little bit of what they did, and we saw the result of what they did, but this really just kind of expands that story a little bit. Just fleshes it out, shows us what that looked like. I'm trying hard not to spoil Blood Hunt #4, but if you know what I'm referring to, this shows us kind of what all of that looked like. It was really good though, lots of good action, and there was a really emotional moment too, which I actually wasn't expecting. Involved. Well, I won't tell you who it's involving, but yeah, it was really cool. So this has been one of my favorite Blood Hunt tie-ins. This Vengeance of the Moon Knight series. So this is good. This is the A cover right here. We have our Aliens we have our Aliens variant by Segovia. And then we also have Strange Academy Blood Hunt #3. This is the last issue of this 3-issue miniseries tie-in. And this one is just all about Agatha Harkness coming to reclaim the Darkhold, who has now taken the form of a young boy. And it's going to take the combined might of the Strange Academy kids to stop her from doing that. Now, most of the issue is just that. Just like I said, the Strange Academy kids going up against Agatha Harkness. But I will say that the ending of this does seem to kind of tie into what Doctor Strange and Clea were doing in Blood Hunt #4. So it looks like everything is kind of converging together. So that happens in this, and this is the only cover I have for that. And then our other tie-in is Wolverine Blood Hunt #4. This is the last issue of this miniseries tie-in. And this one is just all about Wolverine and Night Guard up against Maverick and Alyssa, who is the vampire that turned Maverick. The whole thing is just them fighting together. Doesn't really inject anything into the main Blood Hunt story, but just wanted to let you know that it's out. In case you've been buying this series, don't miss the last issue. And this is the only cover I've got for that one as well. And my books are starting to slide on me here. All right, we've got some more from Ghost Machine. This is Rook Exodus #4, and this may be my favorite issue of Rook Exodus yet, because this is extremely action-packed. We see the different wardens going up against each other, using their animals to attack each other or to attack the animals of the other wardens. It's really cool. Ursaw, the bear warden, I guess, the warden who's in control of bears, he attacks the... Shoot, I lost my place here. He attacks the Oasis in an attempt to steal the grid, which we saw last issue is this communications device that allows wardens to stay in contact with each other. He wants to get the grid because if he gets that, he can track down all of the other wardens who we got brief glimpses of in issue number 3. And of course, Rook and Direwolf fight against Ursaw. We also see the new the new warden wearing the swine helmet that can control boars, and we also see another warden whose name I forget, but she can control snakes and serpents and things like that. And like I said, this is just a big action-packed issue of these different wardens fighting against each other. And it was really, really cool. The artwork is fantastic. Jason Fabok is just killing it on this. So yeah, a great issue of Rook Exodus. So that's our A cover right there. And we have this Jason Fabok. I believe that is Ursaw right there with his big bear helmet, if you will. And then we got another issue of Ultimate Black Panther. This is Ultimate Black Panther number 6. And in this one, Ra and Khonshu, which still is weird to talk about them not as gods, but just like regular guys. But they have come into the possession of a small piece of the mysterious green ore that we saw last issue. And they're using it to pretend to be gods by healing people, by literally changing the physical landscape around them so that people will worship them as gods so that they can grow their army. Shuri urges T'Challa to take up arms against them and their army, but he says he does not want to attack anybody, you know, any of the people in Africa. So he's being a little bit stubborn about that. We do, however, get a cool action sequence later in the book of him protecting some factory workers from an attack by Ra and Khonshu's army. And it seems like things between Black Panther and Ra and Khonshu are really about to escalate. So really cool action there. Just want to let you know that the new issue of Ultimate Black Panther is out. We've got our A cover right here. And we have this really nice Masafera variant. And we have this 1 in 25 David Mack variant that we are selling for $24.99. All right, we've also got issue number 11 of Void Rivals, and the Energon universe just continues to be extremely awesome. Everything in the Energon universe is really cool, and like we've said before, don't sleep on this book just because it's a new IP and not an existing one like Transformers or G.I. Joe, because this is actually kind of sort of starting to drift into the Transformers and G.I. Joe territory as well. In this one, we see Derek and Salilla and Springer right there. The Springer, the Transformer, they are fighting against Proximus's forces. And Derek does something a little bit drastic and unexpected to try to bring peace between the two factions, because he tells Salilla, look, we took our helmets off and realized we're the same, and we've got our two groups of people fighting against each other for really no reason whatsoever, so let's try something different. So yeah, he is going to try to bring them together. And we also see things transpiring in another part of the galaxy involving another Transformer. And I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, another great issue of Void Rivals. So there's our A cover right there. We also have this nice Georgieve variant. We've got a 1 in Twin Arujo and O'Halloran variant that we're selling for $9.99, featuring Springer in his car mode. And then we have a 1 in 25 Craig variant that we're selling for $14.99. All right, let's see what's left here. We got a few. We have got the next issue of one of my favorites. This is Feral number 5. And this issue is crazy. I'll tell you what, like, every issue of this has been sad, scary, that kind of thing. This issue goes off the rails because tragedy strikes more than once in this book, and things get worse for literally everyone. And that's all I'll say. There is one panel where when I saw what it was and I realized what it was, I thought, oh crap, like this it's about to get nuts in the rest of the series. So I can't wait to see what happens. And this is an ongoing series, so it may last for a good long while, all this crazy stuff that happens in this issue. So just want to let you know, if you're a fan of Feral, don't miss the new issue. It is out this week. There's our A cover right there. We have our nice homage cover right there. We have 1 in 10 Fleeks and Forstner variant that we're selling for $9.99. And we have the 1 in 25 Garbowska variant that we're selling for $14.99. All right, we also got the second issue of Zatanna, Bring Down the House. This is a Black Label book, so it's telling its own continuity, free and clear of anything else. The first issue was great. I really like this one too. In this one, the stranger that Zatanna met last issue she ends up fighting the demon that appeared in last issue at one of Zatanna's shows. She asks Zatanna to help her, but Zatanna says that she doesn't do magic and she's pretty helpless against this big demon. So the stranger does manage to defeat that demon and then takes her to this mysterious place called the Palace of Casters, where a bunch of magic users reside. And they actually tell Zatanna that her father was the best of them. And through flashbacks, we actually learn a little bit more about what happened to Zatanna as a kid, and exactly why she doesn't do magic now. It's a little bit more involved than what I originally thought. So yeah, just I love Zatanna, and it's cool to see her in this. And we're going to see more of her in Absolute Power, although that one is in continuity. This one is its own thing. But yeah, if you're a Zatanna fan, definitely don't miss this one. There's our A cover right there, and we have this nice Jenny Frison variant. And we've also got this super cool Diaz variant. Looking real good right there. All right, we just got a couple more here. Just wanted to tell you guys about the last issue of Deadpool Wolverine World War III. This is issue number 3, and it was only going to be a 3-issue miniseries. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but there's some movie coming out here in just a couple days featuring these guys. So we just wanted to tell you that this is out this week. And I don't want to spoil anything about any of it. But I don't want to spoil anything, I should say, about how the last issue ended. But it looked like Deadpool died at the end of last issue, but it's not a spoiler to say he didn't. We all know that he wasn't going to. And the way he comes back in this is probably the weirdest thing I've seen in a comic book in a long time. You really have to stretch your imagination on this one, so it was really cool. And of course, lots of good blood and action and all that kind of stuff. So definitely pick this up if you read the first 2 issues. If you're excited about Deadpool Wolverine coming out here in a few days, this issue was out this week. That's our A cover right there. And we've got this really, really nice Lionel Francis U variant. And then we have this really cool McNiven homage variant. And then speaking of Deadpool and Wolverine, just wanted to let you know, because we talked about this several times on other videos. I want to talk to you about Captain America number 11, but I didn't read the Captain America story. This is part 2 of the Deadpool Wolverine weapon extraction backup story. Like I said before, that is going to be an 8-part story that runs in the backup of 8 various issues of Marvel Comics. So if you want to get all 8 of them, they'll probably be collected at some point. But if you want them now, you'll have to hunt down these issues. So the second part is in Captain America number 11, and at the very end of the last part, which was the first part, Deadpool and Wolverine, they got sucked into this portal, causing them to go falling through the multiverse. And the Earth that they land on in this issue is one we have seen before, or at least I'm pretty sure it's the same one, but we haven't seen it for a while. So it was really cool to see them on that Earth again. And I mean, each part is only like 5 pages long, so there's not a whole lot to talk about. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know that the second part is in this issue of Captain America. So that's our A cover right there. But we also have this nice David Nakayama variant featuring what I wish was Deadpool's look going forward, because that looks really cool right there. And then last one I have, I actually did not get a chance to read this one, but I just wanted to let you know about it, is this year's edition of Supermassive. This is a one-shot. They put these out every year featuring a big team-up of various characters in the Massive-verse. So here we've got Shift and Radiant Red and Inferno Girl Red, Dead Lucky, a Rogue Sun. So if you're a big Massive-verse fan, if you're a big fan of all the characters, or you pick these up every year, this year's issue is out this week. And this is the only cover. And that is it, guys. That is, I think that was like 20-something books. A huge, huge week for books. A very terrible week for Andy to take on vacation, because I'm exhausted. No, but just definitely wanted to let you know, even though it's just me this week, we did not want to skimp on the books that we show, because as you can see here, there are a lot of awesome ones. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Like I said at the beginning of the show, be sure to, it's over here, right? Yeah, infinityflux.net is where you can order these books. You can order them. You can come in if you're local, pick them up. If you are not local, you can order them and have them shipped right to you. All of these books that I talked about are on the website right now. They are available for order right now. So definitely go to infinityflux.net and place your orders for every single book and every single cover that you saw here, because you will not regret it because they're awesome. Again, guys, I appreciate you watching. I will be back on Wednesday to go over 10 of the best books that you can pre-order by this weekend. And then Andy will be back with me on Friday as we do our bigger Comics from the Future show, talking about even more of the books that you can pre-order this weekend. So, guys, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you on Wednesday.